Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I tested out all of these pregnancy tests so you don't have to, and I was honestly surprised by the results, so stick around to the end to see who won my best overall, and let's jump in. For those of you that are new to my channel, my name is Jax and I share my infertility, IVF, adoption, parenting, and pregnancy journeys here on YouTube, all the while trying to give you more information so you feel better equipped to make decisions while you navigate your own journey. I broke this lot of pregnancy tests down into 4 major categories for us to test and compare, but let's get started because there's a lot of dipping to happen. The first kind of tests I'm going to be testing are what we call cheapies in the TTC community, and these are just cheap tests that cost usually less than $0.25 a piece, and they don't have any of the plastic, they don't have a digital display. These are literally just to test and retest and see if you are pregnant. All pregnancy tests test for HCG, which is a hormone that's released during pregnancy once an embryo is embedded into the uterine lining. Normally, non-pregnant premenopausal women have an HCG under 5 milli-international units per milliliter. Once you get pregnant, HCG levels rise during the first 6 to 10 weeks of pregnancy, then decline slowly during the second and third trimesters. Here are what the 5 brands in the cheapie category looked like after I got done testing them. Obviously, the lines are extremely faint because I'm early, but here is a close-up of those. This is Clinical Guard, MomMed, Wanflow, and Pregmate. I didn't end up filming the Ablo one because the tinted window made it impossible for me to even see anything in real life, let alone on camera. For this category, MomMed and Clinical Guard were definitely a tie for first place. Both of them had lines that were way darker than the other two. I know Wanflow is a fan favorite, but I was not impressed. I would say Pregmate had the weakest line, and I could not discern any sort of line from that Ablo one. Next up is the classic pregnancy test category, and I tested AccuClear, Equate, Clear Blue, the Walgreens brand, as well as First Response. I chose a lot of different tests from different retailers. I wanted to cover a large range of types and costs. I attempted to track down the HCG level each test claims to detect, but the major brands won't commit to a level, and the cheapies from Amazon claim various levels but don't have any independent studies to back it up. There's also a few sketchy sites online that claim to know, but I found that most of these are BS and are just trying to sell you their more sensitive tests. So because of this confusion or purposeful vagueness, we are doing this experiment today. As I went through this, all of these tests were allowed to develop for the recommended time by the manufacturer and evaluated within the given valid window suggested by the manufacturer. The reason they have valid windows is because of EVAP lines or evaporation lines, which are lines that appear after a test is dried. They appear where a test line would have appeared and are a result of the chemical agent being exposed to moisture and then drying. This is why you shouldn't be digging tests out of the trash past their designated window. Generally, this is 5 to 10 minutes after dipping them. But if you do find yourself squinting at lines and you're not quite sure, usually EVAP lines are gray while positive test lines are pink or blue. Here is what all 5 brands looked like at the end of their testing window. The First Response test was the clear winner in this one, but that wasn't very surprising to me. Blue dye tests are not my favorite, and they're not the favorite of the TTC community at all. They are notorious for being difficult to read and for having EVAP lines. Next up is the early detection category, and I'll be testing the First Response early detection test, the Walgreens brand, as well as Equate. These tests are usually more expensive, but boast a lower level of HCG that they can detect. It is way easier to collect your urine in a cup because it is less messy, and then you can test on multiple tests if you want to, or test later in the day if you can't test right that second in the morning. Sorry to my friend Beth, who gifted me this mug. I know this is not what you intended for me to do with it. I was checking these tests intermittently, and the First Response was true to its name and had a line the quickest, but by the end of the test window, the Equate test actually had the darkest positive, the most identifiable positive, but all the tests did have a clear positive by the end. But I'm going to name Equate the winner of this round. And finally, the highly anticipated digital category. These are by far the most expensive tests, but I also call them the partner tests. These are the ones you hand your husband to actually tell him you're pregnant so he doesn't have to squint at lines. I was really surprised by these results. You can obviously watch in real time, but the Equate test correctly read pregnant first. Clear Blue didn't even recognize it, and First Response eventually came in. The Clear Blue not being able to detect the pregnancy was incredibly surprising, considering they're usually the staple, the Cadillac of pregnancy tests. Overall, I am still really in love with cheapy tests. Clinical Guard's my favorite, but MomMed definitely performed at the same level. If you're looking to step it up, I would say that First Response box with those 3 tests is also a good choice. And if you're looking just for a digital to give your partner to let them know, then that Equate test did wonderfully. I stand by my statement that blue dye tests are cruddy. I didn't really like any of the brand's blue dye tests. I think it is just too easy to mix up that evap line with the actual true positive. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like or comment. It is how YouTube knows that this was content that you enjoyed or found helpful. If you're interested in my personal journey through my pregnancy to our rainbow baby, then join the journey by hitting the subscribe button. And until next time, ladies, keep on fighting.